Coaches, today we're going to be going over a sweep read play, where it came from, kind of how different teams use it, and how we use it, how you can use it with your football team. I want to start by showing you a couple clips from the past couple seasons with Oregon and the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, Chip Kelley is the one who made this play famous. What he did is he took concept called the buck sweep, which is pretty infamous in the wing T series, and turned it into an RPO, as you can see here in this clip from a UCLA game this year. I'm going to show you the difference between the two today, and you can kind of decide which way you want to run it based off of the personnel that you have. The sweep read, which you're going to see here in the next couple clips, can be a great addition to your playbook. Okay, let's take a look at this first clip here. We have Oregon, playing against Arizona here. Arizona runs a 3-4. The formation here, we have trips up to the top there with a tight end down here into the boundary. As you can see off of the blocking charts that you guys all have, the tight end down here is going to block down on the C-gap defender, and then straight down the line they're going to pin and pull. Now, the difference between the buck sweep and what Oregon's going to do right here is they're going to have a read where Marcus Mariota here is going to read the inside linebacker to the top of the field, who actually blitzes on this play, and the hole blows up huge right there in the middle of the field. So as you can see, they bring that blitz, and there's nobody there, so he pulls the ball, obviously. We'll watch this a few more times here, and then we'll get into more of the details when we draw things up here. But the basis of this is, if there's a guy in your gap, you block down. If there's not, you're pulling. Okay, and here's another look at it. This is with the Philadelphia Eagles. The reason I put this in here was just so that you could see that even if you don't have a mobile quarterback, which obviously Mark Sanchez is not known for his running abilities, he can still hold that guy, that linebacker, in the box, so the read still works. Because if you watch 27 for the Cowboys right here, he stands right there and watches to make sure that Sanchez doesn't pull the ball, which is just enough for your tailback to get around the edge. And it's the same thing, pin and pull all the way across the board, different formation, doesn't matter. Block down. All the guys that don't have somebody in their gap are pulling. And there's 27 waiting on Sanchez. Okay, here's another look. Oregon and Arizona again, same formation. They're just going to run it the other way. This is a little better look at it. It's better film. You can see it better. This one, he actually hands it off, and you'll see why once we get rolling here. So both running backs cloud it up in there, and they stay in the box just long enough so that when he hands this off, so now that they ran it before successfully and Mariota pulled it, they both stayed there even for that half a second, and it was enough to spark a big play. And this look here is going to be an end zone view. This is Oregon again. Again, you just have pin and pull. Now what happens here is they wind up kicking out the outside defenders, and there's a cutback lane, which is great. And depending on the skill set of your running back, he may or may not make that cut. Could have ran around it. Obviously, 57 got that block out there. But you just have pin and pull. Quarterback's reading the inside linebacker. 6 points. Okay, and this is the last look at it here. And with youth football, this is probably the best way to run it with two backs. You don't have to. The reason I say it's probably the best look at it is because it's easier for that tailback. He's a little bit more athletic than a lineman to log the end of the line of scrimmage there, which you'll see LaShawn McCoy do. Obviously, LaShawn McCoy is not known for his great blocking abilities. He's the one you want running the ball, unless you have Darren Sproles on the other side of him. So they're going to hand it off to Darren Sproles here. Take away the read from Sanchez. LaShawn McCoy is going to lead around the outside here, and they're going to pin and pull across the board. So we have, if you see, you have a tight end down to the bottom of the screen here. So it's going to be down and then pin and pull all the way across. LaShawn McCoy's going to come out here and block this safety. This is great when you're down around the goal line and things happen faster.
Here comes Sproles into the backfield. Sproles has the ball. Here comes Sproles into the backfield. Sproles has the ball to the outside. He goes. Touchdown.
Okay, first let's just take a look at your typical wing tee buck sweep. Again, this is what you'd probably want to do if your quarterback's not real mobile. You're going to want to play with a fullback, and you're going to want to make sure that, your tailback understands that the goal is to make it look like you're running outside the numbers every single time you're trying to get to the sideline. And what he's really trying to do is look for that first cut back lane. Okay, so what's going to happen on this is you're going to block down across the board if there's a guy in your gap. This is the pin concept. Okay, so that's same as on both plays. Okay, what the fullback is going to do is he's going to try to log the end of the line of scrimmage. Okay, and log just means turn him to the inside. Now, if he's too far to the outside, he's going to wind up kicking him out, and that's where we're talking about where that cut back lane is going to be. So really what that tailback's looking for is, does that guy get kicked out or does he get logged? Okay, your outside receiver here is going to try to block down all the way to the first inside backer. Okay, and then you've got your two guards pulling and blocking the first wrong color that they see. Okay, so it's hand off and find your first cutback lane. That's your typical buck sweep. Okay, now let's take a look at the difference between the buck sweep and the sweep read and how it kind of evolved over the years and where Chip Kelley came up with this stuff. Okay, what he wanted to be able to do was spread the field and eliminate guys. So what he wanted to do was be able to remove guys from the box. Okay, so instead, he's going to take this guy over here. Okay, and what that does is it pulls that safety to the left here outside of the box. Okay, so it removes him from playing inside the box. It moves him outside the box. It gets the fullback, out of there. You can leave a quick guy in there, stay with your same personnel. And then the other thing that it does is it gives you an extra option with where you can hand the ball off. So if the quarterback doesn't like what it looks like on the outside, say all those backers were checked over for whatever reason, or a double A-gap blitz to the right there was coming, or some kind of goofy stunt that he saw in advance. Okay, now at a youth level, that's asking obviously way too much. But what you can see as coaches is if it's going to spread them out, okay, it gives you the ability for your quarterback to carry the football. Okay, so let's go over how this works. This is going to be the same thing with the across the board here as far as the pins go. Okay, so if you got a guy in your gap, you're pinning, right? The only change is once you get to the center is going to pull every single time. So on this, what's happening is the front side guard is going to pull, and he's going to wind up getting that sandbacker. The center is going to pull, and he's turning back looking in for the first wrong color that he sees. Could be the Mike backer, could be your safety there. But what you're banking on is that once they see this action, okay, you got two things that could happen. The Mike is going to go for sure, right? Because he's usually keying the tailback, going with the flow. He's going to go the direction the ball goes. Where you got to watch, and what you're reading here is, what does this backside linebacker do? Okay, if he goes, the quarterback's going to pull the ball. If he sits there, which is what you saw on the one that Sanchez handed off there, he's going to hand the ball. He's going to hand the ball off. Okay, so quarterback's eyes are going to go straight to the buck backer here. And then what's happening on the rest of it, if you watch those, it looks like this guy's pulling too. But what he's really trying to do is capture the nose. Okay? Now, are most linemen capable of taking over that guy? No. So what's really going to happen is that nose is going to go towards the tailback, and he's going to think he's got a free shot. But what's really happening is this guy's going to wind up sealing him off, because, let's face it, this guy should not be able to tackle this guy if he's running as fast as he can this way anyways. Okay, so when that happens, it kind of blows open a hole there, and if the buck backer goes, the quarterback's going to pull it and run to daylight. Okay, so the easiest way to teach this is to teach your kids that to the front side of the play. So if you're calling your sweep read to the right here, everybody who has somebody in their gap is going to pin. If they don't, they pull. Okay, the center always pulls. Okay, so the center is going no matter what. Okay, if you want to make it, if you're incorporating the read. Now, if you're not incorporating the read and you're running straight buck sweep, it goes straight across the board. You pin and pull no matter what. So the difference between the sweep read and the buck sweep is the center going to pull, or is the center going to block back? Like if it was a buck sweep, the center would be blocking back on the nose and the guard would be pulling. But on the sweep read, you're taking the first guy past the center. Okay, so to the right here, we're looking at the center is always going to go, and then the guard or the tackle is going to be determined by where is that defender. So right now there's a 3 technique, which would be this guy right here. Okay, so since there's a B-gap defender or a 3 technique, that means that the tackle is going to be blocking down, and the guard's going to pull. Okay, if you were to have a shade to this side, so let's just say that 3 technique was lined up here, he would be in the guard's gap, so the guard would block down, and the tackle would pull. Okay, and let me draw that up for you real quick here too. Okay, so now let's say we're looking at the red front here. So now you got your nose to the right there, and you got your tackle to the left. What's going to look different? Well, that's going to be the same, right? What's different is the right guard is going to block down now. This guy's going to go, which is a much easier block. He's got shorter distance to go. This guy's going to pull like always because he always does, okay? And now this is one that's not going to get pulled as much because that guy is now capable of reaching him, and he can keep him out of there. So really, if that guy stays put, or even if he goes, this is still a much cloudier read. But because this guy's a gap in closer, okay, that means this guy now has to be a B-gap defender, so he's going to move out a gap. These guys are going to hit here, and it's going to be easier to get around it. Okay, so you can run this both ways. You do want to run it to the tight end though. Okay, unless you're going to play with a wing or some sort where it doesn't have to be a tight end. For example, you could, let's say we're going to the left here. You could line this guy up here, and he could block back on this guy. Okay, so you can formate it however you want. Okay, what makes the difference between the buck sweep and the sweep read, again, is the center is always going, and you're reading the backside backer. And you want to keep them spread out. You want to make sure that you have at least 3 receivers in the game. But again, seems complicated, looks crazy, but very easy to install with your football team because it's got very defined rules. If you have a guy in your gap, you block down. If you don't, you pull. The center pulls every time. The backside guys are blocking either the 3 technique or the nose, whichever side of the guard he's on, he blocks him either way. So if he's on the inside, he's blocking him to his right. If he's on the outside, he's blocking him to his left. We're talking about this guy right here. Okay, so he has this guy either way, no matter which side he's on. This guy is blocking back, so it's blocking back, blocking back, blocking back, pull, pull. Okay, so that's a very basic intro to the sweep read option, kind of where it came from and how it's developed over the years. This year, actually, in the NFL playoffs, I saw Kansas City run this play three different times in one series. So it's spreading like wildfire, which is cool. But most importantly, you can, as you can see in all these clips here, this is my high school team that I coach. You can utilize this in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different reads and little adjustments you can make to the sweep read, where you can adjust it to your team and your personnel and your coaching style and philosophy, and attack all different kinds of defenses. So that's just a very basic intro to the sweep read option. In the next course, I'm going to show you how to block and how to make the reads in the run portion of this RPO. So we're just going to straight up talk run game, how to attack different types of defenses and whatnot. Then in the third one, we're going to discuss how to, bring in the passing portion of the sweep read RPO.
what to look for, how to game plan for it and whatnot. And then in the fourth clinic, we're going to actually go through game planning like in its entirety. So what do I sit down and look at when I'm on film and deciding, do we want to toss this sweep like in this clip here? Do we want to hand it off? Do we want to make our read so we're using the quarterback to run the ball? Do we want to make our read so we're replacing the backer with some kind of stick route from behind? There's lots of ways to implement this. If you want access to our whole up-tempo no-huddle system, you can go ahead and click the button below and skip through all these little clinics, and we'll just teach you the whole entire offensive system. We have hundreds of hours of clinic film and install videos. We give you every handout for your players, because it's not just about coaching, it's about actually teaching it to them. So we help you make it like a classroom environment when you're installing these things. So they see it on paper, they see it on the board, they see it on the film or on the field in walkthroughs, they see it on film. The more ways, the more touch points they have, the better. We give you every single thing you need to install this entire system. So let's head on over to the next clinic. So go ahead and click on clinic number 2 above, and let's get into the run portion of the sweep read option RPO.